We have about 49 hours of space on the card right now.
I think that's enough.
I don't know if it's enough either.
I have a lot to say about this movie.
We'll see how. Well, let's just get into it then. As you know, I don't know how to start the podcast, so it'll either be whatever we keep from that or something along the lines of Welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Holt. This podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week, we'll pick a film that either I or guests hadn't seen before and really should have by now. This week, it's still Cat's Hog Month. Joke's on you. We're doing cats again.
Let me out.
The doors are all locked.
The doors are all locked.
There's an extended edition.
The Jellicle moon is shining bright. And we have to make the Jellicle choice before we get to go home.
Send me in the balloon, please.
By which I mean it's Oscars month. Each March, we do a little bit of a twist on the formula that has been so sturdy and hasn't been broken at all in recent times. And instead of covering a movie that you should have seen by now, but maybe hadn't, it's all vaguely new releases from the last year because it's all current Best Picture nominees. As we're recording this, the Oscars are about to happen. As this episode comes out, they will have just happened. Typically, the last two times we did this, we were able to put out an episode of the Best Picture winner right after the ceremony happens. This year, it doesn't seem like necessarily as clear. I think you might have been on both of them. I know you were on the Oppenheimer episode last year.
Yes.
And I know Corey and Noah were on Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
You were also on that one. Okay, so the streak maybe is still alive. Each time it's been a bit of a called shot. This time we're doing Anora to kick us off. This has been a really weird year. Amelia Perez got all those nominations, and then all those tweets were discovered, and now it seems like maybe it's not going to win anything. Or just Zoe Saldana. Well, we'll see. We don't have to get into all that because we have the ladies coming up later this month where we can talk about all the movies. Today's just about Anora. All to say, this is the least confident I've been in a called shot, but it still seems like maybe the best bet.
This is the one I want to win. This is my favorite one of the year so far.
And if not, then hey, whatever. It can be a fun time either way. To talk about it, we got Ray.
Hi.
We got Greg.
Hey.
And we got Robbie.
Yo.
And yeah, today is Anora, which has, I don't know, 5 or 6 nominations. It's fun.
Well,
It's good
I'm
stuff.
not sure.
Something like that.
It's got a actress, supporting actor,
Yeah.
Best Picture.
Who was the supporting actor?
Yura Borisov, the Igor.
Yeah, the henchman that has
that's
a role.
awesome.
Right?
I loved him.
I loved him a lot. I thought he was great. I
think
don't know who he's
gonna
up
get my
against,
vote.
but
I don't know who he's up against either. This is the first one I heard for that category, but I'm voting for him.
He's really good.
he's really good in this.
He was so good.
But we can't talk about the movie yet. Have you guys, I guess this is a topic that we'll probably cover on the ladies episode also, but have you seen anything good recently?
Nah.
All right.
No.
Yes.
I watched a couple Oscar movies. I saw Wicked. I really love that.
Mm.
Yeah.
You guys had a good time with Wicked.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Wicked. We've seen 9 out of the 10 Best Picture nominees. We're missing one because they physically won't allow you to watch some of these.
Aim you, Brazil.
You're just not allowed to see these movies. They're not for you.
Watch our award show, but don't you dare watch the movie.
I will not even let you pay me to see this movie.
I had time last weekend and I have time this coming Friday to like go to a movie theater to see a movie, and literally none of these movies are playing in our area. A Complete Unknown is still kind of in theaters a little bit here and there, but nothing else is, which I don't remember ever happening before.
I haven't been a year like this where like there wasn't anywhere you could find some of these.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
At least half of them have been like just on streaming services normally. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be really sad if I don't get to watch them all because I think this is going to be the first year I won't be able to watch them all.
In like 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll if I get to see I'm Still Here on Saturday, I'll just I'll bring a little camcorder and just that's a joke.
Wow.
Whatever. No one works at the FBI
anymore. But yeah, I liked Wicked a lot actually. It was too long, but I did really enjoy it. I think I told most of our friends after I'd watched it, I think we watched that one as like an earlier one, that I would be like surprised if anyone didn't like enjoy it. It's like just a very enjoyable movie.
That's fair.
It's just a little too long.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about this. The pacing is a little weird, but it's, it's got some fun performances in it. This movie similarly has some fun performances in it that we're going to talk about tonight. But if you see 9 of them, what's your? I mean, if you have a ranking for all 9 of them, you can rip that off. But
I don't.
or you can also save it for
You
ladies.
gotta save it for the ladies.
Yeah, I'll say my some of my top picks: Anora, Conclave, and probably The Brutalist are like my favorites this year.
I like Conclave a lot too, but I don't think it has any chance of winning. I don't think it was like best picture. I don't know.
It just won Best Ensemble at SAG Awards this last weekend, so now there's some money moving there if you're following those places.
Oh no, this is just my uneducated opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. This year, there's like it is. I feel like a lot of years I'm like it's going to be one of these two, but there's like a bunch. I could see it being one of like 5 basically, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, there's definitely like a non-surprising win for maybe like 4 or 5 options, which is unusual for this point in the race.
I loved Conclave, but I think part of it was the whole time I was watching, I was like, wow, this gives off such Mean Girl vibes.
I mean, I think that's the fun of it.
It is so fun.
Did
it's
you
just
make
fun.
those memes or did you find those memes?
I think
The Burn Book one I found.
Okay.
Because everyone else feels the same way.
That's I was gonna say. Like it seems like that's the general
Cardinal
consensus.
Bellini made out with a hot dog.
Awesome.
One time.
Yeah. He's oh man. That movie's so
I
fun.
really hope the actors saw those memes.
I hope they did too. I think so.
We weren't the only ones who thought it. That was the best part.
Yeah, no, everybody thought it. I think the first review I saw on Letterboxd after watching the movie was referred to it as a messy bitch convention.
Yes.
I think the funniest thing is I'm like 99% certain that is actually what the Conclave looks like.
Okay.
I feel similarly to that as when Veep was on TV and people who actually work in the higher levels in Washington are like, oh, this is what it's actually like. It's not like the West Wing when people are like noble. It's just people making horribly messed up jokes about each other and being extremely self-interested. And that's it.
Well, they're politicians,
Not
so I think that
surprised.
goes without saying.
Yeah.
Do you I know you are, but do you plan on watching The Brutalist, Robbie?
I was just thinking about that too. We have a good discussion going on.
A
in
really
the
good one because
Discord.
Yeah, I'm excited to join it. I'm excited to
Is
join
that why you're thinking about it?
The Mean Girl memes?
Like the fact that a bunch of other people also had the same opinion?
Yes, that is what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I have an opinion that I voiced as soon, like no, it wasn't early in the movie. It was like at a halfway point about a specific character. And I made the opinion immediately, and then people Googled it, and it's a very popular opinion.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So we were talking about that in the Discord about how like this is the consensus. Like everybody did think.
I'm just going to say, it's not a spoiler. A character comes about the midpoint who is not Daniel Radcliffe. But as soon as I saw it, I went, that is Daniel Radcliffe.
That woman is Daniel Radcliffe. I know it.
It is a girl. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, it's great that Daniel Radcliffe is still working. Like, it's nice to see him here. Hope he got a nominee. And I made it immediately, and then everyone's like, I didn't think about it, but I did see it. And then I think it was like Pat Googled like the actual person's name. One of the first ones comes up is like this person's name, Daniel Radcliffe. Like,
Secretly Daniel Radcliffe?
And it was like, are they related? And like there was a whole bunch of people asking like the same questions.
No, I plan on watching Nickel Boys tomorrow, and then I plan on watching The Brutalist over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning, and then I'll be done in time.
I think I mentioned the general. There is an intermission in it. It's a good stopping point if you get to the intermission. It's like right in the middle.
I'll probably watch it, and then I think I'm gonna skip A Complete Unknown, Amelia Perez, and then what's the third one? I think it's the one we don't have.
Oh, I'm still here.
I'm still here.
Yeah. I heard that one's supposed to be great.
Has anybody watched any other movies that are not Best Picture?
Fucking Cats.
I meant like nominated movies. Because I've seen one documentary, I've seen one short.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, Nosferatu.
I didn't see Nosferatu.
It's great. Between Bob Dylan and Nosferatu, I'll be doing a lot of impressions on the ladies.
Oh,
Broadcast.
looking forward to it.
Maybe I'll try and watch Nosferatu first.
It's really good. It's great.
How long is it?
Good things.
It's short, too short.
Oh, I
For me.
I didn't watch
It's
that.
like 2 hours plus, I think.
Are you kidding me? That's not a short.
Yeah.
No, it's
it's
not
No,
a
he
short.
means it's too short for
It's
him.
too short.
He wanted
Oh.
more.
Yeah.
I need more.
What category is it?
Horny. Like, what category do I put it in, or what category?
What was it nominated for?
Oh,
Makeup or something, probably.
a
I didn't even.
screenplay?
makeup.
I don't know. Something.
It was surprisingly strong. It has, I think, 3 nominations: makeup, costumes, horniest vampire.
Tell him the story about the people in the.
Tell them
the story.
About the people who were near you in the theater.
Yeah, there was people near me in the theater.
Whoa.
It was so the Tuesday night in Warwick crowd that I saw it with was not down for a ruminative, vibey, not like heightened movie that is barely a horror.
Okay.
There's like, I don't know, 3 times that a thing jumps out at you and you're like, ooh.
Nosferatu.
Yeah. I'll look at you with your giant prosthetic penis.
What?
That's one of the things that jumps out at you. And there's
It's not a prosthetic.
it's not looking too good if it's not a prosthetic. He's very undead.
Oh, gross.
In all across his body. Anyway, so it was like a pretty full theater, and I was like, oh great, we got some like real cineasts out here tonight. And they weren't. They were like, oh, there's like because it did surprisingly well for a Robert Eggers movie. He made The Northman,
Oh yeah. That's
The Vitch, and The Lighthouse. So he makes movies that are like kind of horrors. Since The Witch, they're all just sort of like heightened, sort of intense movies that have like some horror-esque elements, and also Willem Dafoe.
Scary.
Is
so
he
scary.
Nosferatu?
No.
He said the same thing.
I was like, oh, that makes sense. And they're like, no, that's not who he is. Okay, never mind.
No. He's the so
What was with the people in the theater?
this isn't what they wanted.
Oh.
They wanted like a Blumhouse style, like a cat jumps across the screen,
Oh.
and everyone's going, "Oh no!" And then a CGI monster goes, "I'm Goofy," and then spooky clowns or something.
Okay.
No offense to the Pennywise film. Bill Skarsgård plays Nosferatu, who played Pennywise. 2 guys next. At one point in the movie, 2 women are in a bed together, just near each other. And this is over an hour into this ruminative movie. And one of these, they were both men in their 50s doing the full phone locked to full brightness, size 20 font, looking at text in the middle of the dark movie theater.
I thought they only did that on TV shows.
No, next to me. And they're in a bed together, and one leans over to the other one and goes, "This is how it starts."
How what starts?
Well, then the scene changed. They did not have sex randomly in the middle of the film while discussing other business.
Disappointing.
What she wanted, I guess. The movie ends, and like every Robert Eggers film I've seen in theaters, it's met with a collective, what the fuck? Especially by the teens who were hoping for a Pennywise experience. They did not get that.
It's awesome.
I had a great time.
Sounds like a happy ending to me.
I had a great time. As Mimi and I were walking out, everyone else seemed really mad. And I was like, this is the perfect response. That movie has almost made $100 million. It's crazy. But yeah, since it got nominated for anything, it's allowed to be in any ladies category. That is the rule.
Oh boy.
So, horniest vampire? You think it's sweeping?
It's up there. Who else has a shot at horniest vampire this year?
This year?
Oh, I was gonna say Robert Pattinson, but
Oh, well, yeah.
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 Timothy Chalamet?
Yeah.
He does.
he's always in that category.
Yeah.
Austin Butler in Dune kind of has
Yeah.
like a horny vampire energy.
He does.
Mm.
Is that a Fade or Ryman or one of
Yeah.
those two? I forgot.
Yeah, Fade.
Okay.
Anora is a film that came out in 2024 from Sean Baker. I only watched it for the first time 2 days ago.
Oh.
You all watched it a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, we're probably about 3 weeks now.
You too? Somewhere in
yeah,
there?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Something like that.
All right. Yeah. Who feels like giving us a 1-minute plot summary?
I can try it. It's been a little bit, but I feel like I remember it all.
Okay.
Okay, so Anora is an exotic dancer. I'm sorry, and she meets a Russian boy who is paying her a lot of money. She decides to be his prostitute for a little bit. I mean, no, she's not a prostitute. That's clear. She ends up marrying him in Vegas, kind of spontaneously. Turns out his dad is like buddies with Putin or something, and they are ashamed that this has happened, and they're coming to America to annul this marriage. The henchmen come, they like grab Anora. The son runs away. He's a little nerd, little loser. And the whole movie is them running around the city looking for this kid who's on like a binger and like just leaving a wake of destruction along the way. One of the henchmen is kind of nice to Anora. She's not nice back. It ends with them getting the marriage annulled, and she realizes like how shitty everything is. And then she really traumatically has sex with one of the henchmen and cries. The end. And she goes back to her shitty life.
Yep. Like $25,000 richer, I guess, than 3 weeks previously.
More well, I don't know. It depends on the resale value of that ring.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
ring
right. I
resale
forgot
value.
about the ring.
But it was 10. It was
10 cash.
10 cash, and then he gives her
Like
15.
15. Yeah.
So 25 there, and then Pat and I googled the ring, and it should be somewhere between like $50,000 and $100,000 for that carat diamond.
50. So like 10,000 resale. Legit.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Under huge suspicion of having stolen it, right?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think you get the engagement ring back. I think that was legally hers as soon as he bought it for her. He would be on the hook for stealing from his parents if they wanted to press charges against him. But once you give somebody an engagement ring, if you don't go through with it, it's breach of contract on your side, and you get to keep the ring.
Why do you know so much about this?
It's just a thing. It comes up on Reddit a lot.
I've seen this too.
Yeah, but I feel like she would just have trouble like reselling it because somebody shows up with this like, you know, super valuable ring and like no proof of like how you got it. I feel like there's a lot of liability.
Because they have numbers on the diamonds usually.
Yeah.
Like they have a serial number, and they can usually like look it up and figure out like where was this sold.
And there's like, I guess there's a paper trail. They did actually have a certificate and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they had to go sign all those documents in Nevada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess she's fine. But you still like, I mean, it's like GameStop. They're not going to give her full value,
No, diamonds have really bad resale value.
especially if you bring them to
Absolutely
GameStop.
And I think too, at that point, the parents don't want to go back to America, and they're certainly not going to let the kid go back to America. So there's nobody around to like dispute the
that's
diamond.
Yeah.
Just Tauros, maybe.
They have horrible resale.
It's because it's like taboo to buy a used diamond. Like you're cheap if you're buying a used engagement ring. You know
And
what I
they're
mean?
essentially worthless to start with.
Yeah.
Right.
Says you can expect to receive 25 to 50% of the original price when you sell a diamond.
That's not the worst.
Honestly, not that bad.
It's not bad.
It's better than cars.
Yeah, well, that's pretty
25
bad
to
though
50K.
for an item that does not degrade at all.
That's true.
Yeah. And at that point had only been
I
bought.
don't know. She was
a week.
pretty degraded to get that.
She was.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It'd be
More-
like
more
if
of a
your
soul.
car never got any worse, but then when you went to sell it, they were like, "We'll give you 25% of what you paid."
Are you talking about the Cybertruck?
You can't bring those back. They will not accept them back.
And nobody will buy them, so you can't sell them.
Yeah.
I did see a screenshot today of somebody like trying to sell it to CarMax, and it said that they would like have to owe them money to take it because like they would only offer them like 70 grand and they owed 90 grand on their loan. So like they would have to pay them to take the car.
Hell yeah.
There's a few of those around my neighborhood, and like, but I haven't seen a lot of them recently.
I saw one actually like 2 days ago.
They keep getting vandalized, and I think it's really funny because they keep
So
getting
funny.
vandalized in really funny ways.
It's very funny.
Anyways, Anora.
Yeah, there's no
I love this
Cybertrucks
movie.
in this film. Sorry, you
I
love it?
loved this movie.
Yeah, I loved this movie too.
One of the things I thought that was like the craziest about it is that first like 20, 30 minutes or so of them like in a strip club. I felt like I was in a strip club. That was so accurate to the strip club experience.
Okay, I think a big thing I liked about this movie was just how accurate everything felt. Because what's the actress's name?
Mikey Madison.
Mikey Madison. Okay, I felt like she makes it because, I mean, a lot of us have lived in the city. Like, she is a city girl.
Yes.
We know people.
We know them.
I can imagine a lot of people would find her character like annoying, but I was just like, this seems like, you know, a trash girl. Like, I don't know. It didn't annoy me. It just seemed expected.
It was like so perfect. This is,
Yeah.
I've seen this person before. This is exactly how they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who this is. This is how they talk. This is them, like how they act. Like,
Like zero personal responsibility. Just like,
Yep. Yeah.
like
The comebacks that she had to like the other people that she worked with when she was mad at them. And it's like, oh, I feel like I've heard people say that.
yes. And then
Like,
I think
that is how they fight.
I think it helps too because she feels so real, you really think that she's so certain this is all going to work out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like through the whole movie, she knows it's all going to work out. Like any person who has an IQ above like 45 should know that this guy is trouble and like you're not going to get what you want. You know what I mean?
for sure.
But she really sells it. She's like in on this, and then
And you get on her side, even
That's
though
what I'm
you're
saying.
like,
somehow you're
yes.
still rooting for her. the
even though
whole
you're
time.
like, if you stop and look at it, when Toro shows up and he's like, can I just give you $10,000 to fuck off?
Yeah.
It's like, just take it. Like, yeah.
So that's the other thing too, is like at that point I feel like is when you start to wonder like, so does she love Vanya or not?
I don't think she knows what love is.
Yeah.
I think that's a real possibility. I think
Yeah.
she
Well,
thinks
that's
she
the
loves
central question.
Vanya. I think
She definitely thinks she does.
she thinks she does. Because I was wondering for a while, like, does she even think that, or is she just like, this is my Cinderella story? Like I'm getting what I deserve.
I think it's both.
I think
kind
it's
of.
a lot of both.
Yeah.
I think like that's what she thinks that love is that, you know, she ends up with her like happily ever after basically. And it doesn't really matter like who the other end of that is. Like this is what she imagined it
That
was
makes
going to
sense.
be.
I haven't seen all of his movies, but as much as there's a through line, so Sean Baker's previous couple films were Red Rocket and The Florida Project. Florida Project, because of Willem Dafoe, got some nominations a number of years ago. I don't think Red Rocket did, but it tore up the indie scene. And it is a lot about a disconnect between people not just thinking they deserve more than what they have, but expecting. It's a lot about like he makes really good movies about like quote unquote real America. And as someone who is good at doing that, he would probably hate that phrase.
Well, so I think that's the balance that he struck with the movie is like, I definitely think she deserved more than what she has. I just don't think she deserved what she thought she deserved.
Yes. It's all of his movies are about the adage about like there's no poor people in America, just temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Yeah.
Because I feel like she really sells it. All the performances are really good, honestly.
They're amazing.
Because that's what makes the movie. Because although there are like some pretty like active scenes, a lot of it is just these people doing stuff together. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is really all the performances, but they were so good. They were so believable.
I feel like Vanya's performance was so good, it didn't feel like good acting.
Yes.
Yes.
The authenticity is sort of ridiculous. So that guy, Alex Eydelshteyn, I want to say, is not really getting any like awards attention because I think most people are like, oh, he just found a guy who does that.
Honestly, and he's so unlikable
Yes.
because of it all. Like he's the one.
None of the developments with his character are surprising to anyone aside from Annie.
Yes, she's the only person surprised by what's happening, and he's just so easy to hate. Like he's the one performance I was just like that guy, because all the other ones like I really liked and like I don't know, but him I was like
This fucking scrawny ass little bastard.
it hurts too because you're rooting for Anora so much that you can't root for him.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, they don't give you an option to because if like he was even trying, like he just like left her there and dipped. Like if he was trying to keep things alive or whatever, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is a love story between the two of them.
Nope.
But, like,
It's funny too because you're rooting for her to have the happy ending, but not for them to have a happy ending. Even though she's not really getting like, what are you rooting for the whole time? You want her to get a happy ending, but there's none in sight the whole time. But the
I wanted
movie's
her to
still
get a full-fledged divorce. That's what I was rooting for. Like when she was giving her the like, no, I'm taking you to court. I'm getting an attorney, and I'm like, oh, an attorney's gonna tear him apart. I was pumped for that.
early in the movie they count that out because Toro I think tells him right away like he's got nothing. This You're saying this is his house. The room you've been sleeping in is the parents. His is the one with the fucking spaceships on the wall. So he
doesn't have anything.
He has
it's all
nothing.
his parents' stuff.
She's gonna get you don't.
Because he's also only 20.
He's
right?
only So like even if she
and
did a
also
full divorce,
not an American citizen.
it doesn't work that way. You can't be like his parents have a lot of money. I want some of it. Like no, you get half of what he has, which is his allowance.
I think
he's
there
also
is some.
doesn't live in America and could just not come back, right? Like
He could technically. I don't know how like international stuff like that works.
I feel like there's some weird loopholes with it because like people that are super wealthy always make them sign like those super expensive prenups and like I don't know. I'm just basing it off other movies and stuff
I
like
think it's
that.
because
And it's
eventually.
Eventually they'll
parents-
inherit it.
Okay, and they want to make sure when he inherit. I got you.
He's
That-
got
that
it
makes
covered.
sense. Okay.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's like loopholes if he's like 45 and still living off all their money and like this, then they'd be like, well, no. Something, this is really his. But at 20, they wouldn't be like, no, some of that's really his. They'd be like, no, he's a.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And probably
that's
after 2 weeks, there's not like a reasonable expectation of lifestyle maintaining
Yeah,
that
so
he would
I
have
was
to
like,
pay out,
she's-
right?
I was like,
He'd probably have to pay her something.
I don't think he has anything. He doesn't have a job. He's never worked.
Courts generally favor the ex-wives in those situations, right?
I bet you if you went,
She'd
through
probably
this,
get a lot of like video games.
Well, I was gonna say like I bet you he has like 10 plus watches that are all worth over 20 grand, and like his
Yeah.
wardrobe is probably worth like
Yeah.
$100,000.
Technically, anything he's been gifted is his, right?
And you could just say those are marital.
She's
I
just
don't know.
never gonna.
It would be a mess. I guess
It would be-
They're gonna have such a better lawyer than she could ever get.
at least I was hoping for like an increase of like the 10 grand. Like maybe the mom would like break for a second, be like, "I'll give you 50 grand." And just,
I was when they said like 10 grand. I was like, that's fucking nothing. You know what I
like
mean?
they could have given her $100,000.
I was very surprised they lowballed her. Like, you want this over? Just offer her something stupid.
Be like,
She
okay,
didn't go. She didn't negotiate because she was like, "Well, this isn't going to be relevant anyway."
Yes, I was like, I know she didn't negotiate, and I wasn't concerned about that because I was like, at that point, she's convinced, like, I'm not getting a divorce.
right.
I love too that, and I think part of it is just because it fits so well with her character and she sells it so well. Every time they mention an element, I'm not getting a fucking divorce. And then they're yelling, it's not a divorce. And she's like, I ain't getting a fucking divorce.
Yes.
And like,
It's
they
so
have to be
funny.
specific. Like, there's no divorce. It's an annulment, but she just doesn't give she's like, you know,
That whole scene where she's fighting with Igor and that other dude, the guy's brother, was just fucking hilarious.
Okay.
It seems
I
amazing.
said the same thing. I mentioned to Pat too the whole time when they burst into the house and then she's trying to leave and they actually physically are assaulting her and like restraining her and she's screaming. It is exactly like that is 100% accurate to what it is like to restrain someone. The thing she does where she's screaming, they always do that. I worked at a group home, so that is clear. I don't regularly restrain women.
You really should have led with why you knew all this.
But like she literally
I've done
does
a lot of research, and this is exactly how this
because
goes.
he worked at a psych hospital.
Yeah.
But like where she's like screaming the whole time and then yelling like you're killing me or like I can't breathe. You have to let me go because I'm gonna stop. It's exactly like that every time, and you cannot let them go. And if you do, they break your nose.
Like Igor probably
at you
had
and
some
bite.
group
Yes.
home experience because he's the only one who's like, they're like, let her go. And he's like, I don't think that's a good idea. It's like, she's gonna run. It's like, no, she's being calm. She said she's being calm. It's like, I really don't tie her legs at least.
Yeah, and because he's experienced it. I love that scene too because that's where she gives that guy the concussion, and he mentions it one time, like my nose is broken, I might have a concussion, and they're like,
Thomas
"Fuck
is
it,
like,
we
"No."
don't have time to deal with this."
Yeah,
and for the rest of the movie, he's clearly getting more concussed. Like he has all the symptoms, but they don't ever mention it. You're just
Like when
watching
he
him
throws up and can't stop throwing up. and
Like, you're just watching him in the
like,
background.
I need to
as
go
his-
to a hospital. He's like, no, you're fine.
his concussion's getting worse. They don't mention like, oh, you definitely have a bad concussion. They know, all the audience can tell what's happening here. It's so good.
It's yeah, it is the halfway point of the movie where you go from like the rom-com style thing with Vanya, and then Vanya's pretty much out of the movie.
Pretty much. Yep.
And then those three guys come in and completely change the vibe,
Yeah, I was gonna-
and it turns into like a weird slapstick
adventure,
after hours, like one terrible night that won't end adventure through Coney Island, I guess.
High intensity too. Like you're like stressed the whole time.
Yeah.
It becomes like good time or
as this movie is going, what did you guys think it was going to be? Because it took me a while to figure out.
I didn't know until the end.
I was surprised. So because of other people's Letterboxd reviews, I had read someone who was like, this movie's amazing. It's the best rom-com of the year. And then halfway through it turns into like a slapstick adventure buddy film. And I was like, oh, okay. But for me, the scene where they're restraining her, 20 minute long scene. And then I'm like, oh, is the rest of the movie just almost real time over the course of like the next day? And it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first half of the movies covers like 2 weeks, a week and a half, something like that. A little over a week, I think.
Over a week, because he hires her for a week.
Yeah.
So I thought it was literally going to be a take on Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
As soon as the strip club scene happens and he like invites her to like come back, I was like, oh, is this going to be like a modernized take on like a more realistic Pretty Woman?
Yeah.
Like, is that what this movie is? And then because
there were so many parallels.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely thought that's what it was going to be.
Yeah, so that's 100% what I thought it was going to be.
Pretty Woman.
He finds a prostitute, and hires her for a week. And then it's a straight up rom-com.
And they fall in love.
They like took the negotiation scene like right out of that.
It is directly out of it.
It's
When
like
he negotiates
they just
the
copied
money.
it, yeah.
Gotcha.
And he has the exact line where like she accepts it and she's like, I would have done it for half
done
that.
It for 2,000.
And he's like, I would have given you double what I offered.
Yeah, it's got some issues. We did it on the podcast. Is
what, Pretty Woman?
Yeah.
Really good movie, actually. You'd really like it, Robbie.
Yeah.
What's
It
that
has a couple
mean?
issues.
You like rom-coms.
Yeah, you'd like it.
I thought you were saying I'm getting desperate enough to marry a stripper.
No, it's kind of like the rom-com. Like,
Yeah.
It is like an Urtext, Richard Gere, early Julia Roberts. The star-making Julia Roberts rom-com role.
Big mistake. Huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's that one.
It's really good.
That's that one.
But yeah, so I thought it was gonna be Pretty Woman until that scene where they like bust into the house, and I was like,
Yeah.
they're gonna murder her. I was like, I thought it was gonna be some
Yeah.
kind
And
of
it really is like the direct center point of the film, I think, too. Like,
yes, I thought it was gonna turn. I was like, I thought there was a real chance the rest of this was her like being in this house and that like trying to like whether or not she was about to get murdered was gonna be the whole film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it turned into like once they are all together, I was like, is the rest of this going to be like a little buddy adventure? And then it kind of was.
Well,
so
so
I
I
kept
kept
worried the whole time that
You
like
were
somebody
worried.
was gonna die.
I kept
Like,
waiting for the shoe to drop. I thought like,
Yeah.
especially like the tow truck scene, I was like, this guy's in New York towing cars. He's gonna fucking shoot them. Like, you can't just go pull a tow truck driver. Like, at the very least, pull out a tire iron and like start smacking him around. Like,
it is for me, because we also just did Michael Clayton. And it is like, I think, a more realistic version of a fixer. So Toros is for that family and their general oligarch bullshit or whatever. Seems to be like the fixer, Michael Clayton type character for them. And he was just like not on his game that day. He just had too many headwinds for him to have a smooth operation.
priest.
That was so funny.
Sorry, I have to go.
I was in the middle of a baptism.
It was so funny.
He just like hands the baby off. It's like,
I
yeah, so-
love when
I think he's just the
movies-
godfather there. I
Yeah.
don't think he's the. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
because he had like the robes and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought
Yeah,
he
I
was
think
the
they make you
priest.
put him on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's-
no,
Sorry.
he was the godfather of the baptism, and he just left.
Because he was Armenian, or the other guy was Armenian, but either way, it was like Eastern Orthodox Church or
Yeah.
something. right?
Yeah, they were Armenian.
I love a depressing movie like this one, and I love them even more when they know like how much comedy they need to like not kill you throughout the movie. And I feel like this one does it really well.
Yes.
Like between that, the guy with the concussion, in the end, he's like unconscious on like a
Yes.
couch, and his whole face is black and blue at that point. Because if you notice, he gets more and more black
Yeah.
and blue as
Yeah,
it like
and, like,
goes.
swollen.
Really-
Yeah.
They should be in best makeup for that.
It was so good. You know what I mean?
Great
What you
acting.
gave him? I'm not drug dealer. What do you mean you're not a drug dealer? Then my grandma's.
Yes.
Because like as soon as this guy comes out with drugs, you're like, oh, he's a drug dealer. He's like, no, he's just some guy that lives with his grandma.
It's like it seems to be like his first day on the job. It's unclear where he fits into this organization. It's like, well, Toros is a fixer, and then the Garnick guy
Is his brother.
Yeah. but it's clearly like below him in terms of like hierarchy.
It literally seemed like they were
And
like,
then
we're
Igor-
short a man. Like, do you know anybody? Kind of thing. It was like, well, I got this guy. Like he's
my friend is sleeping on my couch right now or something. Or
he's just like
from around
hired
the way.
help. Like, yeah.
He's a task rabbit.
yes.
Basically.
He doesn't know these people. That'd be funny.
Also, this movie, and I think maybe there's like a trend. This is the most explicit Oscar movie I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
By far.
I mean, maybe. No one has sex with a fish man in this one.
They don't, but the fish man was different. It was so sensual.
just in terms of, I guess because of all of the sex in this one.
The sex,
especially in the first half of
the
this
nudity,
one.
It was
and
Wolf of
the-
Wall Street. That was pretty explicit.
That one still has the record for most F-bombs
Yeah.
Yes.
in terms of like in like a music
I was
sense
thinking like
explicit.
sex scenes, and these weren't like a typical, like I said, these were not romantic sex scenes.
The first 20 minutes could have been a porn.
Yes. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Like there was no bottom half nudity, so that's probably the only thing that kept it from that distinction. But like if you move the blankets in those scenes, it would have been a porn.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's also just the way he has sex with her tells you all you need about this character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. He's real like dog that caught the car energy.
Just jackrabbit all over the place. He's 20. He doesn't know any better.
Yeah, he
It's
doesn't
a
know any-
really good way to describe that.
Yeah. It's like, I think, he's clearly watched more porn than has had actual sex.
Yes. I also
I don't know if this is something people that didn't smoke weed would pick up on, but like he hits the bong a bunch of times and like doesn't immediately offer it to the person that's with him. And it was such a good, like, I'm like, you're such an asshole. Like you just fucked this girl. Offer her the fucking bong. Like, what's wrong with you?
they knew that, and they were like, "Oh, this is important. You got it multiple times. You cannot offer."
It's just such a small, and like he does sometimes, but it's always just, I don't know. It's just like you can tell she's an afterthought to him. Like he got what he wanted. Now he's going to get a little high. And he's like, oh, you're here. Here you go. Like, I don't know.
I think the thing that bothered me was like the video games. You know, like he's sitting there playing the video games and she's just like kind of like laying with him and he's like totally ignoring her. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
There was a couple times
When
he was-
she's go for it.
where he was playing games and she like tried to interrupt him, and I was for a half second worried he was gonna get like violent. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know where this movie was going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point I had kind of lost the idea of Pretty Woman because I was like, there's no way this works out. This guy's so shitty.
Well, I thought it was going to be like a bad version of Pretty Woman.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
when I was saying modern, I was more like more realistic.
More realistic,
Yeah.
a darker version of Pretty
Yeah.
Woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's too much of a coward to get violent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a real actor though. This isn't his normal wheelhouse. Supposedly, I haven't seen his other films, but on a podcast he was described as Russia's Timothy Chalamet.
Huh.
I
guess
could see
he's,
that.
I guess he's normally in a very different mode. So this actually is him acting. It's not just like some random Mountain Dew up scene. that
he
they
did-
found.
he did
Timothy
good.
Chalamet the whole time I was
Yeah.
watching him. I was like,
It's
this
the
guy
hair.
looks like Timothy.
Yeah, he like I said, him, Anora,
Yeah.
Igor. Yep.
Yeah, Igor.
Even Toro.
Borisov, you got
I
it.
really liked all of them. They
Well,
were
yeah.
great.
It's weird that Toros played by Karren Karagulian. This is the only reason I have my phone out because I don't know people's names otherwise. He's amazing. He's not getting any Oscar or any like real awards attention either, but he's awesome. I feel like the second half of the movie
Wait, did you
doesn't
say he
work
was
without him.
Best supporting actor?
Yura Borisov, who plays Igor, is.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
Or
talking
the
about
guy who
Toro,
plays
the
Torres.
Godfather.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, no.
See, the problem is like all the performances are really good, but I feel like they're a little hesitant to be like, this movie will get a best actress and like 2 best supporting. You know, like it doesn't happen
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, definitely not. But I think that he's the one that's like the really shoulders a lot of vibe for the second half of the movie and setting
Yes.
the tone for what is
He does set
happening.
the tone because he's like manic in that
He's-
part, and that adds
And
to,
he's
like,
like
the
he's
tension of, like,
introduced as sort of like, oh, here's the guy that's going to figure everything out, and he is by far the most chaotic.
he's exactly and
Makes
him being-
everything worse.
It just makes everything constantly worse.
him being so chaotic is what lead like where you always have the possibility, is Anora gonna die? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially that scene in the candy shop when he just tells Igor to just start destroying stuff, and Igor's been pretty chill, but like obviously he restrained Anora, but like she was kind of at the point where like someone had to deal with her. You
She
know
was
what I mean?
gonna hurt herself if she kept going.
And he tried to be like as nice as he could about it, you know what I mean? But then he just like a switch flips and he just fucking is destroying that place. And you're like, oh shit,
oh, man,
like
these people are dangerous.
like this, yeah, this can turn fast.
Yes, how little concern he had for when the guy approached him with the bat.
Yes.
Well, see, for
And you're like, oh, that's a real guy. You should just do what he wants you to.
like when I saw that, that's when I realized that he seemed more to be like their muscle, but he doesn't like it. And then even when he was destroying stuff, I didn't get like I'm enjoying this from him. It was like he could have been chopping wood or carrying groceries. He
I
was
think
just
that's what's
like,
scarier though.
It is
Yes.
scary, yeah. It was
Like this is my job. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like
He
he's
did-
in a spreadsheet. Same.
He did seem
same
like hired
excitement.
muscle that like probably doesn't get paid a lot, and it's like I don't have any other thing going for me. Like this is kind of what I have to do. But yeah, that is the problem. Is like if they tell him to do that and he does it like blinking, like what else can they tell him to do?
fair.
Hired muscle with a heart of gold. I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
I said in the chat, she was the stripper with a heart of BPD, and he was the thug with a heart of gold.
Right. No, yeah.
I also love, and it just also fits into her character really well, like the way every time they mention an annulment, I ain't getting a fucking divorce. Every time they mention her being a prostitute, she I'm not a fucking prostitute, and like, and she seems like she firmly believes she's not a prostitute, but she has been paid for sex on multiple occasions already at this point in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you think the 15 grand was for? You're just down in company?
Yeah, but honestly, I firmly believe that she believes.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I
for
mean?
sure. She's like, no, I'm a
She,
stripper.
Like, I
she
don't-
has an office. She has like a workplace and colleagues.
Yes, I don't know the
But it's indoors.
mental gymnastics exactly that she's doing to get there, but I can see that she's doing it and like is all in on it.
She's
Yeah.
a stripper that sometimes has sex for money. A prostitute
Right.
only has sex for money.
Yes, that's not her primary job. Her primary job is a stripper. She kind of just does that on the side, like if the opportunity arises.
Yes.
Yeah. Makes
It's
house
like
calls.
If you're at work and your job is to like program things, and they're like, "Hey, can you build a dashboard?" And you're like, "Okay, I'm not a dashboard builder.
I'm not a dashboarder.
I'm
And if
an
someone told me I was a
engineer."
dashboard, I ain't a fucking dashboarder.
You do that all the time.
It's not my job.
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
I'm not looking up a fucking YouTube tutorial.
Should we start the Anora challenge? Like, to talk to your boss like Anora would for 1 week?
Greg already does that. They give him awards.
I'm not getting a fucking award.
Everyone's just like, oh, that Greg.
He's got a heart of gold.
He's got a heart of gold.
That's probably what they'd have to do to get you to go into the office. Just like really restraining.
Yes. I'm calm. I'm not gonna run.
VP of facilities is like, no, he said he's calm. Let him go.
I'd really strap him to his chair first.
At least tie his legs
You don't need to
up.
fucking strap me down. I'm fucking calm.
Ray.
He said he's fucking calm.
Yeah. What else happens in this one? Other stuff. None of you have seen Red Rocket, right?
No.
If you liked this, you'd probably like Red Rocket. Red Rocket is maybe more subversive because it's explicitly about porn stars.
Oh. She's not a porn star. She's not even a prostitute in this film.
Right. That's what I mean. But it is explicitly about a porn star who is like in his 40s trying to recruit a 16-year-old to like join him to make movies and stuff.
Oh.
And it's so good.
I've actually heard good things about it.
It's amazing. It is so good. And it's about America
I live
or
there.
something.
Is the first 20 minutes of that actually porn?
No.
That's sad.
Oh, Vanya's house, sick set.
Oh, yeah.
Great place for a lot of the movie.
Love the elevator. It
Yeah,
seemed
when
to be
she
a 2-floor house that had an elevator.
Yes. And when she's going there with her friend and she's like, it's got a fucking elevator.
Oh, I
I'd
know
say the same thing.
one thing that Greg and I were really upset about was like when they had their just like binger of like they were like getting on the jet, they were going to Vegas. We felt so old because we were like,
So
man,
tired.
they must be so tired. They must feel like shit. And we're like, no,
they were getting
no,
on
they're
their knees
20.
in the
That's where we're getting
morning.
IVs.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we're going to be up pretty late, so we should get an IV.
It's like, they're 20, they're fine, and that made us really sad.
I did think like I remember when I could stay up this late every
Yeah.
single night for a whole fucking week and it wouldn't matter. And I was like, I can't.
It's
I,
gone.
Yeah. And now I was like, this movie's too long. I'm gonna have a headache in the morning.
We've lost the momentum.
Yeah. You're only like 10-ish years from your kids being at that place in their lives. So,
Yes.
yeah.
10?
Ran at 16 on a plane to Vegas with a Russian oligarch son.
10-ish.
Yeah, I did that at 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piper seems like a wild child.
Uh-huh.
It could happen. Yeah. Don't let him hang out with Russian oligarchs' sons.
No.
Strip clubs are fine, but the Russian oligarch sons, like that's just gonna get all messy.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know where our country's headed. Maybe that'll
That's
be the
what
way
I mean.
to go.
Like
Russian oligarchs might be the way to go.
they
Get
might
it
be
on the
assigned
ground
to a
floor.
Russian oligarch son at some point.
Yep.
So,
I really like that you get to meet his parents at some point.
yeah,
It was
I like how terrible they are.
They're so and like you can see like, oh, okay, I understand why he's the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think, and I think it's obvious, but like when she was calling the mom out and just telling her what a bitch she was, and the dad was like laughing, was he just genuinely laughing at his wife because
Yeah.
she's a bitch? Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought as well.
I think that guy genuinely hates his wife. And he's having a great time hearing other people be mean to her.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought. Because I guess you could say like, oh, he thinks it's like, look how dumb this girl is. I don't think it's that.
It just because
No.
it seemed wild because I'm like, she's gonna
Yeah.
rip your balls off, man.
No,
Like,
I think
enjoy
he
the laugh.
appreciated like how forward she was, and that like because I feel like people
Nobody
are probably
ever-
not saying that to his wife ever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
like,
thought
no
I
one
think
else
he
has the
thought it
balls.
was really funny.
It would have been a nice touch if he just like followed her out on a plane and was like, here's like an extra 10 grand just for that or something like that. Like,
Yeah, I kind of thought that was gonna happen actually, but
Nah,
I would have enjoyed that. But I like what they did.
rich
It's
people don't
fine.
tip.
That's true. Uh-huh. No, they were, yeah. And it might have just been because I was a little stupid too. I looked it up after, but I didn't quite understand exactly what his parents were during the movie, but I don't think it really mattered.
I don't think so, but I thought, and I couldn't tell if it was just talking about furs she bought or if she designed like high-end fur coats, because they made a comment about like her furs and like I really liked it or something, but I didn't quite catch it, and I don't have subtitles on the rip, so but I wasn't sure if it was just a comment about a fur coat she had or if it was like if that's what she did, like she was this, like-
Oh yeah, I didn't think that. I thought it was just fur coats she had.
I think it was
Okay.
just stuff that she had. Yeah.
I thought that it was supposed to be like intentionally like just kind of like a little hand wavy, like, oh, they're like high up Russian people. Maybe they're mobsters or arms dealers, or it doesn't really matter. They're rich Russian people.
Yeah.
And then after it was like, oh, I
and
got it.
Anora's never gonna know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Well, for a lot of like the Putin oligarchs too, a lot of them aren't anything. They're just his friends. Like I think there's like a
Yes.
musician in his group that's worth like over $1 billion, and he's not like a famous musician. He just like plays
He's
sometimes.
just an oligarch. Yeah. And then after I looked
He's a
up, I was like,
bard, basically.
yes.
Yeah.
He's Putin's muse.
Yeah. Afterwards, I looked it up and was like, "Oh, okay. I like that. It makes a lot of sense." But it really just didn't matter. So, while I was watching it, it didn't really take away from it at all. That they were like, because they're still just this nebulous thing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
oligarch.
Well, I mean, they have their own jet, and that property in New York overlooking the city is gonna be like what, $100 million. I mean,
Oh, maybe more. It's got an elevator. It's got its own like security guy there too. Like you're paying a salary on this guy at, like to just
watch your house you're never in.
watch your house you're never in. You know what I mean? Like this guy, he just opens this gate.
Best and worst job ever, I guess, depending on salary.
Depends on salary. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like it's just like in a neighborhood. So,
Probably
and
just
it has a gate.
watch
Yep.
TV.
Right. You probably have a heads up when people are coming that you need to care about. That's it.
But yeah, I like that we got to meet his parents and they sucked wicked bad.
Yeah.
And like you could see like why he is the way he is, especially in what I think is probably one of the scenes I really like where Igor or whatever is like, everything's all settled, the annulment's done. He's like, I think Vanya should apologize to Anora. And the mom is like so heated about it.
Not my perfect little baby.
Yeah, my son won't be apologizing to anyone or whatever she said.
Yeah, she said something like basically like my son is too good to ever have
He's
to.
above that.
He's above having to apologize regardless.
He's like the kid in daycare that's biting all the other kids. Parents like, it must be their fault.
Yeah. He's fine at home.
Except no, she doesn't even give off the vibe of it must be their fault. It is his fault, but he's not going to apologize because that is beneath him.
Maybe your kid shouldn't be tasty.
Yeah, you basically, who cares? This kid is better than yours.
Yeah.
Is the vibe like she gives off, and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. So in between the a scene I loved was the New York courtroom scene.
Yes, that's so good.
Where the lawyer is just like, obviously has some fealty to this organization, but is also like, I'm also a lawyer in New York, and this is what the fuck are you doing to me right now?
Yes, but I'm gonna go through with it.
And then like I think the judge, who is like, I don't know if he has more than, I don't know, a dozen words or so, just gives off perfect like, oh, judges are constrained by earthly things like whatever you represent power wise, so I'm going to just tell you to fuck off because I don't have to do whatever you're asking me to do.
So that man is clearly drunk as shit. I'm not doing this.
That's not even what ends up happening though. Remember?
Well,
I
when
wasn't
the guy
sure,
turns
like,
around, he's like, they got married in Nevada?
Yes.
Why didn't you tell me?
Yes.
It's like, well, does it matter?
Yes, because
we can't do this here then.
Yeah, because I was wondering too when all this going on. I was like, is the judge going to let this slide? Like, are they just going to pay him off? Because it didn't seem like he cared who they were, kind of thing. No. Yeah. And I was like, is it going to slide anyway? And then the Nevada thing happened. I was like, oh, that's such a good like.
I love it, Nevada too. They were just in somebody's office, and I imagine there's like the chapels on one side of the street, and then there's just like annulment offices on the other side of the street.
There probably is. And like City Hall, there's a whole wing of just like, well, and there's where you go to get your annulments.
Next, take a number.
I hope they charge good. They probably make a lot of money off it.
They probably do.
$200. Annulments $800.
We get like $1,000 per visitor here.
I thought with the lawyer too that his whole thing was like, yeah, I don't want to lose the business of this multi-billionaire family, but if I do what you're saying, I lose my license, and then I also can't keep the business of this multi-billionaire family.
Hopefully he got everyone out of the courtroom fast enough to not have a lasting damage on his relationship with that judge.
I swear I didn't know he was drunk.
It just like how immediately off the rails it went after just like through sheer force of no, this has to happen, so it's happening. The whole night had been until that point.
I love.
And then like no, they ran into people who were like, no, we're not doing this. You have to leave.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
Toro.
Who the fuck is that? He's like, oh, he's like with he can't be up here. Make him sit down.
And like when she starts talking to the judge, like I've had to go to Fall River Housing Court a few times, and like there have been people that stand up and start talking to the judge like that. And they're like, you need to stop that. It's fantastic.
She played it so good. She was perfect.
Yeah, it's such an amazing performance.
It's so good. She was spot on.
Oh yeah,
she's everything that she conveys loudly and not loudly is amazing. In the movie.
Do we only feel that way though because like we can picture it because we live in Fall River?
I'm wondering the same thing. Like if you're like from
we've all done our time.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, if you're like not in a city, like can you look at this person, you're like, this is a ridiculous performance. Like nobody's like this. And I'm sitting here like, this is 100% accurate. Everybody is like this.
I feel like she's here.
Yeah.
I really, obviously she's in New York and all that, but it wouldn't be that surprising if we looked up, to get into character, she was like undercover in Walmart in Fall River for 3 months.
She worked at the customer service desk.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
she processed returns.
We don't even sell this here. Oh, hell no. You just tell me you don't even sell this here. Where did I buy it?
This is 5 loose pepperonis. Well, they were in a package that was $20. So.
The other 50 were bad.
She was a Price Right cashier.
Oh, no.
Do you remember that Price Right cashier?
Oh, I do. And they were yelling about their baby daddy's mom was outside to pick him up or something.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Someone was picking, or her mom was picking up her baby daddy, but not her or something.
What it was. She was yelling because...
And then they were outside.
I don't got a ride. I need to get a ride home. My mom won't come. She's picking up my baby daddy instead, and she's not going to come get me. That bitch or something like that. I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And I was like, do you...
Can we buy our ice cream? But like this was unfolding. Like the baby daddy was outside. Like we saw this happening.
And as covered in the movie, her parents are divorced. So is that why she's like that? Do we think?
What, Anora?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how every person who has divorced parents is like.
I think so. It's it comes from eventually.
I missed that part. I feel like you don't get a lot of backstory on Anora, honestly.
There's just the one conversation when he's like, when do I get to meet your family? And she's like, well, my sister lives over there. You meet her whenever. She's like, my dad, she says her mom lives with her man somewhere.
Yep.
And her dad lives somewhere else.
Yes, you're right. She does mention that. And that's like
that's it.
That's all you need. Yeah. I feel like she kind of sells enough of what who she is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she lives with her sister or whatever, and
they barely hate each other.
Yeah.
Did you get milk? Does it look like I got fucking milk? Is that what it was?
Yeah, pretty much.
Kelsey?
I feel like we have to talk about, at least before done, Anora's relationship with Igor through this movie. Because it's weird.
The real pretty woman starts at the end. Yes.
He definitely has maybe less money than she does.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she hates him.
Yeah.
For 90% of the movie? The whole movie?
Most of it.
Maybe the whole thing until the very last, the end?
Yeah.
Like they have that scene together in the mansion in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's the scene I mentioned where he's like, Vanya should apologize, where it realizes like this is maybe the only person who's been on her side, kind of.
To some extent, but even after that, she was still a bitch to him in the car.
She was still mean. So she was still mean to him.
Maybe not on her side, but the only person who's treated her like a person in the whole movie.
Yeah. Barely even though. Like,
Well, and the thing too is like she's someone who's only used to people wanting her for her body. So when he ties her up and she like is claiming he wanted to rape her, I think she really felt like he wanted to rape her because like obviously that's why somebody would tie up a girl like me is they just want to rape me. You know what I mean? So I think that discolors a lot of the experience with him right up until it starts getting like at the end where you're talking about.
Yeah, because she is still a bitch to him in the mansion scene. But I feel like it's different at that point.
It's a little more playful.
Yeah,
touche.
It was more. Yeah, touche. What does she say? It's not touche.
Yeah. Try learning English before you try French or something.
Yes.
Because in that scene, it was more of, and we don't know her too well, but I was like, oh, this is just how she is to her friends. I was kind of how I felt at that point. Like, she is still going to be this way.
We know people.
Yes.
I was like, this is just how she is to people she like doesn't mind the company of. You know what I mean?
Jokes about how they want to rape her.
Yeah.
It's like, yep.
Classic.
And then I think this movie has like a perfect ending, even though it's horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah. You should watch Red Rocket. It has his movies stick landings in a really interesting and crushing way. Typically,
it did. At first, I thought I did not like it at all. Like when she mounts him in the car, I was like, I have no idea why she's having sex with this guy right now. This doesn't make a lot of sense. And then she like breaks down, and I was like, okay, this makes perfect sense. Yeah. I 100% understand what is happening right now.
Yeah, it's it's like the rest of the performance. There's a lot happening at all times in her performance.
Yes.
That is so well conveyed, and you can follow what's going on in her feeling like, okay, back to this life, and this is seeing how she thinks of herself and values herself, and what she identifies as her value to other people, and
yes,
it's pretty, yeah.
And I feel like it
Fucking
kind of
hard.
answers like whether did she love Vanya? Like at this point, you're clearly like this lady has no understanding of what love is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's very broken by this experience.
Yes.
Well, and before it as well, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
This didn't, definitely was in a weird place. And this
There was at
not-
least some cracks.
yes.
Yes. Not only does she not understand what love is, she has no concept of what it is to be loved at this
Right.
point. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
like
I think that's probably where the divorced parents come in, because there's normally some like, depending on how bad it was, like maybe they both were too busy to ever like show her what she didn't see a good relationship between them. Maybe they didn't have enough time. Like they were both working, didn't have enough time to show her love. And then she goes out into the world and she just doesn't understand love.
yes. Especially too, because like
Sorry, Ben.
No, this is great.
he, like you said, treated her like a person, but like he really did not do more than the bare minimum.
No.
And sees this as like this grand.
He just didn't treat her bad and bought her things.
Yeah. I think it's also pretty important that he doesn't necessarily seem explicitly interested in her either.
No.
I mean, I think it'd be fair to say he doesn't really understand what love is either. He kind of mimicked his parents' relationships, right? Like she was like a loud, outspoken woman and he was just quiet doing what he wanted to do.
I meant like Igor.
Sorry.
It's not like he's really like flirting with her. He's just kind of talking to her while they're in the same
He's
space.
just showing her basic human kindness.
He's just kind of like keeping conversation going.
Yeah, he doesn't. I that's why at first I was confused because like this guy didn't seem into her, she didn't seem into him, and then I realized like okay, I see what's.
Well, a little bit. He put the jacket on her on a plane, which I think was a very like one action that could be seen as more of like a
Yeah. It could also, like I said, I feel like it's still close, barely above bare minimum, especially after everything she's been through. I feel like you restrained her at some point. Like you know what I mean? I don't know.
Maybe she's into that.
Yeah. They're most likely never going to see each other again.
No.
When she gets out of the car. And,
No, this is how Pretty Woman starts, but she's Richard Gere now.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all scaled down to someone who has 10,000 total dollars in cash.
I do really like that he steals the ring for her.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. It's hard to say anything happy about the movie because it really.
It's not like doing it nice, but just doing it as like, here is a token of acknowledgement that this happened.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That this was real and this happened and it was bad.
And it was bad. Yes.
Because no
And
one
you
else
deserve
knows.
more than what you
Yes.
got here.
Yeah.
Because you will never interact with anyone probably for the rest of your life who knows what happened.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep. And her life already seemed not great, and now it's worse.
Do you think she sells the ring?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Immediately. And I think she gets ripped off and gets like $2,500 for it.
I think she sells the ring immediately. I think she goes back to the strip club, except it's worse now because it's embarrassing to have to come back. You know what I mean? And
most of the people there like her, though.
Most of them.
seemingly.
Yeah.
Just not Diamond, but it seems like everyone there hates Diamond already. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Diamond sucks.
Well, I think the idea too was like Diamond looked older and she was like on her way out, which is probably partially why she was such a bitch.
Yeah. She's a real
Mhm.
Grisabella.
she was.
Oh
I mean,
God.
she
all I could
honestly
think.
couldn't have been older than like 30, but if you looked at her next to all of the other strippers, it was just like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's aged.
Was she?
What
I think so.
she
that
looked.
time.
I thought she was like intentionally supposed to look older than the other
All
strippers.
that
Oh,
time spent
okay.
with McCavity.
Yeah. I
Get out of here.
also dislike Diamond because of the scene where she's trying to sleep with Vanya at the strip club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When he comes in and she's like, "Oh, I'm getting him," or something like, "You bitch."
And of course the piece of shit is back at the strip club.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And of course the other piece of shit is like, oh yeah, this worked out so well for my friend. Well, my other person I hate. It's gonna work out great for me too.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't think she.
I
Thought
think
it was
she's
gonna
just
work out
doing
great.
it to be
She was just
spiteful.
doing to be mean. Like, oh, I can sleep with her husband. Like, I can
Oh.
have her husband fuck me at the strip club.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought she was just being an asshole.
I thought it was a little of both because even after she was there, she was still like, I still get an hour with him. And it seemed like she was being like, this is my chance. Like, I'm going to get him to go for me now because I know he's a
Oh,
billionaire.
maybe.
But
Mhm.
either way.
Or
it
at least
works.
he's got a lot of money.
He's got money. I'm
Yeah.
getting. I'm getting something out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also thought it was, I don't know, obviously Igor does not have a lot of money. Like obviously he does not have a lot of money.
What?
He's driving his
Did you
grandmother's
see that car?
Like, yeah. But he doesn't even like he doesn't keep the ring. Like he gives it to her, you know?
Like, he's not a thief.
Right.
I think that's what he would say.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not a thief.
Right.
Yeah, that is like what he would say about.
Nope.
I'm not a drug dealer.
I'm not a rapist. This poor guy.
Yeah.
There's a couple times where someone asks him to do something and then he like takes a big pause and just goes, nope. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
He was great, you know,
he's
and his
really
performance
good.
is like, it's so funny.
He gets to go to the Oscars. He's dominated. So
Yeah, it's so funny because normally in a movie like this where her performance is fucking huge and his is so subtle, I wouldn't appreciate theirs as much, but it works so good.
All of his acting was like body language and subtle actions, which is just super impressive that he conveyed so much of a character with that. Like, I don't know. It's great.
yeah.
I do feel bad for the guy that played Vanya, though, because he also was a great actor, but he was just such a dick. It's like, you can't have a single fucking award. Get out of here.
He was also in a lot less than the movie because he's missing the whole end, basically. Second
That's
act,
fair.
he's
Well,
gone.
no, because Igor wasn't in the whole beginning half.
Yeah.
That's true. But he's in the finish is, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So to
he
speak.
was.
yeah.
Well, I don't think he was.
We don't know. He probably hasn't gotten it in a while. He seems sensitive.
now like that.
No.
I don't know.
I do feel like he should have done more to stop that from happening, though.
I think he's just like,
I think he's not a good guy. He's
Oh, I think he's a great guy. I think he's just a little slow.
yeah.
yeah, he might have been a little deer in the headlights and also like, she's in a weird place. I maybe don't want to reject her. I also don't want this to happen.
Also, I'm in this enclosed space with this person that I've seen go apeshit.
That's all true. That's all true.
Yeah, I think he seemed like a stand-up guy near everyone else, but he's not like some great dude, I would say.
Disagree. I think
Okay.
he's a really great dude. I think he's making the best out of a bad situation.
It could be that. He does live with his grandma. You know, they don't give you a lot of backstory on him.
You don't know like what he does. Like maybe he knew what to do with a bat because he's been hit with a bat a bunch by people just being abusive to him, like in Russia, and he fled it to escape here. Like there's a lot of options for like how he got the skills he did, but all of his actions were good.
He destroys that candy shop. Absolutely smashes everything.
Well, he was just,
He hates
he
candy.
was, he was working with, he was under orders.
He
Parents are dentists.
destroys that small business.
I love,
Okay, those guys were dicks. He didn't know it was some nice old man's candy shop at that point. He just knew there was this like Vanya looking motherfucker that
Okay,
was.
they weren't
stays-
dicks. Some strangers burst in and they're like, I want your phone right now. It's like, I'm not giving you my phone. It's like, fucking get him. Destroy this place.
there's
That's
yeah.
his job. That's what he's paid to
It
do.
is true. It's his
It
job.
is-
And it wasn't that bad.
It is like every time they interact with someone, the fuse is like that much shorter. And by the time they got there, like the first time that the kid came out and he was like, no, fuck you. You seem like authority and I hate authority.
Yes.
And the guy was just like, kill him right now.
Well, that's the thing.
It's
is, like,
funny because Toro's fuse does just get shorter and shorter and
Yeah.
shorter.
Yeah.
he was threatened with a bat first. If the dude hadn't threatened to swing a bat at him, then
Yeah.
there'd be no bat
He
to
was
destroy
trying
the
to
candy
rob
shop.
him, though.
He was trying to use his phone.
Yeah. And it is like a lot of that sequence is a lot of like, you know, if you're just walking fast and you look like you're supposed to be there, people won't stop you from going into the kitchen of a restaurant.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no, for sure. I bet you I could walk into the back of any restaurant and like
Yeah.
get pretty far.
People aren't going to physically stop you.
Especially if you know somebody's name. Like they knew like, oh, I forget what the guy's name, that
Oh,
character
is that
doesn't
guy
matter.
here? He's like, oh, he's in the back. Okay.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you can't go back there. He's like, no, we can.
Yeah. And they
Thank you.
also have an accent, so it's like, oh, well, maybe they're not understanding me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to just be like, oh, they're being jerks. Like, no, they seem like I don't know what's going on here.
There's a couple. So in Sean Baker's movies, he often has like non-professional actors, just like people.
Mhm.
And I have to think the owner of the candy shop is one of them because of his face.
Because of his face.
And there's like, it's just like, what a fucking face that guy has. Holy shit. In a good way. In like a camera loves
that was
this guy
just his
way.
candy shop.
You probably.
And his
They
employees
didn't
are
tell him they were filming.
his employees are shitty, and he doesn't care at all.
And I love when they're like doing freestyle rap about how they're smoking dope in his face to him.
Yes. And he's like, kids.
It's like no smoking dope in here. And they just keep smoking
I feel
dope.
like he reminded me of somebody, but I don't know who.
The movie's, I thought, so well shot, but there's a
Pelagio.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
R.I.P.
There's a couple times in the movie where there's like a really kind of out of step with the rest of this sequence close up when Anora's screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the shop gets smashed up and the guy comes to the background, he goes like, what the heck happened? And it's like there's like a push in on his face. It's amazing.
No, that's why I was like, I think it was just his candy shop.
Yeah.
Now, your motivation here is we've paid you very little to rent your candy shop, and you come out and you realize we've destroyed it all.
What the heck? All right. Do we want to get to ratings?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. On a scale of 0.5 to 5, on any scale of your choosing, what would you give, aside from stars, what would you give Sean Baker's 2024 film Anora?
I will give it 5 out of 5 concussed henchmen.
5 out of 5 not prostitutes.
That's good.
I'm having trouble with this.
The not prostitute thing, there's been several times where someone's asked me about the Oscar movies and I told them I like this one. Like, oh, what's it about? And the kids are there. I'm like, so there's this woman who's a dancer, a very regular dancer.
A private dancer.
that
someone hires for a whole week.
I made the mistake of bringing up that I watched the Oscars at work, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm excited because I'm like watching the Oscar movies now. And they're like, oh, what have you seen? And I was like, oh, I've seen, at that point it was only Anora and Conclave, I think. And they were like, oh, what's Anora about? I haven't heard it. And I'm like,
A regular dancer.
And I'm like, how do I describe this in a work appropriate way in this staff meeting? I'm like, oh God. Anyway, ratings. I'll give it a 5 out of 5 spaceships on the wall.
Nice. 5 out of 5 coats made out of Russian sable, not mink. All right. Question of the month. It being Oscars month, we can do a couple different things. I'm trying to think what we've done in the past. Maybe something along the lines of like, what was your favorite movie that wasn't nominated for Best Picture this year or something like that?
I can't think of anything that isn't these movies I just saw.
I know.
Yeah, it's tough.
I got to open my letterbox.
It can be anything.
Oh,
even if it's
cats.
just cats. Okay.
Oh
No.
God.
I was gonna say even just like a first time watch that came out in decades ago or something from the year.
That's true. I just feel like I can't remember anything I fucking watched this year.
I know. That's why you need a letterbox.
What movies did I see with you last year?
I can't even think of what we've seen. I don't know if we actually like watched a new movie this year before the Oscars.
What movie did you watch the most times this year?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall, probably.
Really? I was gonna think it was a Minion or a Despicable.
Oh, I wasn't counting those because they're on, but I don't like watch
okay.
them. You know what I
Trolls
mean?
3 probably.
Frozen, maybe technically.
I watched a 3-hour YouTube video about a like 1500s conspiracy theory about like a message in a bottle that was found in this whole big setup. It was really interesting. Yeah.
Gillinor Games. Enjoyed Gillinor Games.
Gillinor Games too.
What was the name of the YouTube video? Or the creator, maybe?
Creator Simon Whistler. He does like 3 different series. He does Decoding on the Unknown. He does infographics you might have seen.
Maybe.
Casual Criminalist is another one.
Okay.
But he does like he has a group of writers that look up stuff for him and then he just reads them. But he always like goes into the historical record instead of just bullshitting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Well, I don't know. The thing that's not even going to come up in the ladies because it didn't get nominated for anything. Favorite movie of the year that we can't talk about because of the Oscars being dumb is probably I Saw the TV Glow. Go watch it. It's great.
Oh, I think you had mentioned that. No,
It's an A24 movie, so it's on Max because I think that's where all the A24 movies end up.
I can't remember if that's one you mentioned to me or not.
Maybe. It's really good.
Trying to look at a list of movies from last year, and I
Stars Justice Smith. He was friends with Detective Pikachu
Yes,
in the film Detective Pikachu.
I know him. I've seen the film.
Well, thanks for being on the first episode of Oscars month. If this wasn't the winner, I think I only have a commitment for a Conclave episode after this. If there's a different movie that wins Best Picture, we'll cover that this month too, because it seems fair. Mm-hmm. And then the ladies will come out, I don't know, mid-month, something like that. We'll talk about the logistics. We'll figure it out. And yeah, thank you for being on the first episode of Oscars month, Greg, Ray, and Robbie.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No problem.
You're going to have fun editing that one.
I'm not. You can find yourself on Linktree, linktr.ee/late to the movies. A lot of times when it's like that, I'll just go to a point where I'm like, that's enough episode. And then just like find the end and just cut the middle. Yeah, it feels like we discussed everything that we needed to talk about. And it usually works. We front-loaded tangents this time, though, unfortunately. So it'll be harder to do that.
I feel like you have a good episode in here. We had a good discussion on this one, actually.
Yes.
We did. But
it's like pretty concise because it's only an hour 40 now, and we didn't start talking about the movie until 30 minutes in.
And then the end was also long. Like we just
yeah, we like the part where I said it's like it's already over. Thanks.